Next on the news, thousands of mourners say goodbye to the nation's longest living president. Jimmy Carter lies in state in the nation's capital. Fires rage out in California, people fleeing from their homes and parishes as the Archdiocese of Los Angeles sends its prayers to those afflicted, firefighters and first responders. Plus, it was a sight to see at Wednesday's general audience. Pope Francis was surprised with a circus performance that included acrobats and animated elephants. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. The nation is mourning Jimmy Carter. Despite bitter cold and strong winds off the heels of a massive snowstorm, thousands wait to say their final goodbyes to the 39th president as he lies in state at the U.S. Capitol. The casket carrying President Jimmy Carter was brought into the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday. Family, friends, and lawmakers saying their final goodbyes.
It's amazing on these last few days to for my family to see how much we share him with the world.
Carter's return to D.C. followed several days of celebrations of his life and remembrances in his home state of Georgia.
Today we gather to celebrate the life of a man whose works will echo for generations to come.
A peanut farmer and Navy veteran who would go on to be governor of Georgia before eventually serving as president of the United States from 1977 to 1981. After leaving the White House, Carter's life as a humanitarian cemented his legacy. Countless hours spent working with Habitat for Humanity.
He focused on making the lives of his fellow men better.
Along with efforts of the Carter Center fighting for human rights and health care access for families across the world. Carter, a one-term president turned Nobel Peace Prize winner, remembered for the life he lived in service of others.
Without question, he was a great public servant because of his beliefs, because of his faith, because of the principles that he stood for. I think that'll always be important in remembering Jimmy Carter.
The centenarian was widely known as a man of faith. Carter was a devout Baptist who taught Sunday school in his retirement. He was also the first U.S. president to host a pope at the White House. On October 6, 1979, Carter welcomed Pope John Paul II to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The two agreed to speak not as diplomats, but as Christian brothers, their conversation centering on human rights. Archbishop Gregory Hartmeyer of Atlanta, who also met the former president in 2019, said in a statement, Carter exemplified the Christian faith. One of the ways many felt he lived out that faith was through his humanitarian work. As we mentioned, after leaving the Oval Office, Carter became the face of Habitat for Humanity, volunteering for the charity for 40 years. The president, along with his wife, personally helped to build or remodel more than 4,000 homes in 14 countries. When Carter and his wife were done building the homes, they would gift the families signed Bibles. Another of President Carter's humanitarian efforts that has made a lasting impact on the world includes the near eradication of a disease. The president fought for most of his life against a highly infectious parasite called guinea worm that affected millions of people. But as Currents News' Jessica Easthope reports, it's a battle the president nearly won.
It's a parasitic disease that barely exists anymore, thanks in part to work done by this former president.
We were driving along and at elementary school, children had a big sign that says, "Watch out, guinea worm, here comes Jimmy Carter." That was almost as good as a Nobel Prize for me.
In the 1980s, Carter decided to lead the effort to rid the world of guinea worm, which at the time infected about 3.5 million people. As of 2022, there are 13 cases, according to preliminary totals from the Carter Center. Guinea worm disease is caused by a parasite which infects humans and animals when they drink unfiltered water contaminated with microscopic water fleas. People infected have no symptoms for about a year, then begin to feel sick with a slight fever, itchy rash, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and dizziness. Then a painful blister develops, and the worm breaks through the skin, which comes with a host of other health complications. While the death rate is low, disability is common.
The fact that we know where the disease exists now. We know what medicines or treatment can be effective, and we can actually prove how many still are there that have this problem, and we can prove what causes success. And that proof, I think, makes it much more likely that the effort will continue after I'm no longer president.
Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
And some good news in that fight. In 2024, there was only one report of guinea worm disease. If the disease is fully gone, it would be the first time a disease has been eradicated without the use of a vaccine. Be sure to stay with Currents News for continuing coverage of the life and legacy of Jimmy Carter, plus a full report on his funeral service this Thursday, where the nation will say its final goodbyes. That's this Thursday, January 9th on Currents News. You can also get more President Carter coverage in this week's tablet. If you pick up the paper at your local church this weekend, you'll see this story talking about how music motivated the president before and during his time in the Oval Office. So be sure to pick up the paper at your local church. You can also support the tablet and Catholic journalism by becoming a member. You can do so by going online to thetablet.org/become-a-member. Turning now to Southern California, where 4 life-threatening wildfires are forcing tens of thousands to evacuate. At least 2 people are dead after 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts caused several fires to grow from non-existent to out of control. The wildfires were first reported Tuesday evening and have quickly spread through thousands of acres in LA County. More than 1,000 fire personnel have been deployed as California Governor Gavin Newsom declares a state of emergency. Officials and weather experts stressing the severity of the flames and urging people to leave.
This is one of the worst situations that we have ever seen. This is a unique and volatile combination of weather parameters that has come together with some of the most extreme, destructive, life-threatening windstorms that we're getting across the area.
Multiple Catholic parishes and schools in the LA area have closed and evacuated because of the wildfires, including Corpus Christi Church in the Pacific Palisades, 3 Catholic churches and 2 Catholic schools in Altadena, and 3 other schools that were not directly in the evacuation areas but close enough to close out of precaution. The Archdiocese of Los Angeles sending out this message on their Facebook to their flock saying, please join our LA Catholics community in praying for the families at risk from the winds and wildfires, and also for the firefighters and first responders. May God keep them safe, and may our Blessed Mother, Mary, remain close to all. Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan also sent his prayers to the people of Los Angeles, along with the firefighters and first responders on Facebook. The Pope, along with Catholics around the world, are praying for peace in Gaza. In the latest attack on the Strip, 50 were killed by Israeli bombs. Among the reported victims, 10 members of a single family, including a 4-month-old. And in a separate attack, a 17-day-old baby was killed. According to Gaza's health ministry, these latest casualties bring the death toll in Gaza since the war started on October 7, 2023, to almost 45,000. Pope Francis was focused on children in his first catechesis of 2025. The Holy Father reflecting on the brutality of war, asking disciples of Christ to ensure children aren't robbed of their childhood and dreams. At the weekly general audience in St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Francis also spoke about the scourge of child labor, saying Christians cannot remain indifferent when children are victims of exploitation and marginalization. The pontiff ended his catechesis with prayer, asking Catholics to pray with him that every child in the world may experience love and the promise of a dignified future. The general audience ended on a lighter note with a big surprise for the Pope as the circus came to the Vatican. The performance was by Circ-Africa, a circus troupe with dancers from several African nations. Among the acts gracing Paul VI Hall, animated elephants and breathtaking acrobatics. Afterwards, the Pope thanked the group for bringing laughter and joy to those present. Looks like fun. That is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.